Hey guys, what's going on? Matt here, back again with another video. Bit of a different format for today. We're going to be going through a market analysis and make it a bit more regular, especially during the playoffs. Just going to be going through some hot and cold players and any other notable players and see how their market has changed. Before we start, smash the like button, hit subscribe if you're enjoying the sports card content. But just keep in mind as well, this video is being recorded on Wednesday the 2nd of June, Australian time, so this will be uploaded 48 hours, so any key moments or plays that happen after this will be missed. But going to go through and look through it, data in the past 14 days, as 14 days ago was around, or it was pre-playoffs, so we can see how performance has affected the value of each player and certain cards. Going to keep this limited to Prism as it has the most volume and is probably the best indicator in price movements, but I'll look at other cards as well as I see fit. But yeah, let's start off with the most disappointing team of the NBA playoffs, which is the Miami Heat. And their three most notable players in Tyler Hero, Jimmy Butler, and Bam Adebayo. So as we can see over the past 14 days, their Prism PSA 10 rookie cards are down for Bam 18%, Tyler Hero 31%, and Jimmy Butler 34%. So I think Bam's been hit the least because he's got probably the more potential out of the three for the future. Jimmy Butler's a bit getting old now. Tyler Hero hasn't proven as much. He had a great playoffs last year, but nothing during this regular season. And Bam's shown glimpses of being a potential defensive player of the year. But as we can see there, Bam's down 18%, Tyler Hero 31%, and Jimmy Butler 34%. And yeah, so we can go through Bam. As you guys can see, this is showing the past year. So I really do feel sorry for anyone who bought in that hype around here. So this is around, so this was September, which is pretty much just before the NBA Finals. But as we can see at the height there, that card reached $550 US. And as you can see now, it's gone down to $122 US. So that's, yeah, a fifth of what it was going for. And it's really come down a fair bit, along with base in general as well. But as you can see, it kind of dropped after the playoffs as it normally would, and then with the height of people's expectations for the Miami Heat, it kind of gathered a bit of steam. But coming down towards the to where we are right now, you can see that price has fallen. So Bam's come down a fair bit, but not as bad as the other two. This one's been hit really badly. So I've got it on 90 days. We can go to 365 days as well for this one. Let me just load this up. Alright, let me get that back out there. So yeah, as you guys can see here, Tyler Heroes is... I said this again, I'll say it again, but I've said it in a video before, 2019-20 Prism Basketball is not something I'd be wanting to hold long term, especially for the base set, due to the high pop count. So we've got PSA 10, a pop count of 4,646 cards, which isn't that many compared to other players, but there are so many at PSA right now in the backlog. Again, with the height of the playoffs, his card reached $357 US, actually $455 US. And that's just fallen down. And he didn't have a great regular season as well. People were anticipating that, you know, he'd build upon that, but he's really had the second year blues really quite poorly, and that's just really fallen. There hasn't really been any sort of uptick in that sort of price. It's just fallen. And right now, geez, that's gone to $57 US. So, again, I feel sorry for anyone who's, you know, put him in raw, in bulk, and then with the grading fees and everything, because... You know, with a PSA 10, you're not going to be making much money, if any money at all. And really, that whole 2019 draft class has been hit really hard. But yeah, let's go to Jimmy Butler. So this one's a bit... this is actually one that I think is actually not a bad buy if you're a Tyler Hero believer. So his Prism-based variation, which, if I'm not mistaken, you can only find in retail, but as you guys can see there, the Prism base has that photo of him dribbling the basketball, and then the Prism-based variation is a photo variation which has him throwing a behind-the-back pass. So this card's currently going, and it's fallen as well, and it's come down to $67 US. So that's got a pop count of 316 at $67 US, and then the other one had a pop count of 4,500 with a cost of $57 US. So if you're really wanting to buy Tyler Hero and wanting to invest in him long term, I would go for the variation personally. I know variations are a bit more popular in baseball, but with basketball, it's not as popular, but I actually don't mind the variations at all. I was actually thinking about a Zion one, but yeah, a variation with a way less pop count. That's 10%, less than 10% of the pop count of the PSA 10 base. For $10 more, I would 100% go for that versus the Prism base. So yeah, that was just one I wanted to bring up as well as a possible variation to that. And yeah, so Jimmy Butler, I've got his Prism base, PSA 10 and PSA 9 up here. As you guys can see, this increase, I actually was one of the people that didn't invest in Jimmy Butler. I actually bought a fair few players before last year's playoffs, but Jimmy Butler was one I just didn't buy at all. And he was probably the hottest player during the playoffs last year. As we can see, that Prism PSA 10 reached $1,100 US. PSA 9, if we can see here, around $360 US. So, yeah, first year Prism as well is a bit of a bit more of a safer card compared to 2019 Prism because of the pop count. As you can see, PSA 10 was 582 on the pop count. PSA 9 was 347 on the pop count as well. But as you can see, Jimmy actually had a bit of he actually started to trend up a little bit, just leading up to the playoffs. I actually did see a fair few influencers and content creators pump him up a little bit. Nothing against them as well, because I probably would have done the same, just gathering on that. But I actually preferred Bam a little bit more. But yeah, Jimmy Butler was pumped up a little bit before the playoffs because people said, you know, he did this last year in the playoffs. He's going to do it again in this year's playoffs. So, yeah, same thing's going to happen. And really, the narrative wasn't like that at all. And Jimmy didn't really have a great playoffs at all. So, as you can see, this is just before the playoffs, around there. I think it's probably just before the playoffs. So, you can see there, $173 of PSA 9, and then that just drops like crazy. So, that's pretty much halved in the space of 14 days. So, Jimmy Butler didn't have a great playoffs. The Miami Heat got swept, and that's really taken a hit for their card prices as well. So, you can see there, you probably won't see in the next few cards as well, but more so with the Miami Heat, their cards have really taken a hit along with their exit from the playoffs. It's been really, really more obvious with these ones. So yeah. So let's move to DeAndre Ayton, who's been surprisingly good in the Suns versus Lakers series. Last 14 days, he's down 1.7%. So the whole card market as a whole is down. So 1.7% down isn't actually that bad. But I saw a stat the other day that he is one of, was it one of 4 players that has shot over, oh no, he might be the only player that has shot over 80% in the first 4 games, if I remember the stat right. But yeah, so he's doing quite well against the Lakers. And a lot of people were down on him during the season because he was very down on his regular season stats compared to the previous year. People were anticipating Chris Paul would give him a lot more touches, but he really hasn't been playing that role, and it's sort of changed now into the playoffs, which is quite good. So a lot of people that have held Ayton during the season have been rewarded quite well. But yeah, over the last, over the last 90 days, trending down quite heavily. If we even go to last 30 days, I think as a whole card market, it's really gone down. But his PSA 10 from $117 down to $83. Pop count's at 3,662, so still quite a large pop count for Prism. The only thing I'd say here is I've actually been auctioning off some Aidens on my eBay. And I've actually found, I think the Australian market has been less reactive to the American market. So American markets really hasn't moved at all, but I've found on the Australian eBay, people are still paying overs for Aiden and all these sort of players that have reacted quite well to the market. So I've been quite surprised at that. So even though he is quite down on his price and his Prism PSA 10 at $83, I've had a couple of PSA 9s that have sold for 40 to 50 US. So people haven't reacted as well in Australia or as quickly. I don't know how long that will take to really happen. Maybe it's a month behind or something like that, but that's just something I noticed with the Australian market, especially on eBay. Not as much on Facebook, but more so on eBay. So yeah. So his Prism PSA 10 Silver hasn't been hit as hard over the past 90 days compared to that base, but still quite a large pop count for a Silver, 1,378, but has been a bit more flat with that trend line. and has actually seen in the last 14 days a bit more of an increase compared to the Prism. So the thing I did notice with Prism base versus Prism short printed cards in Prism, Prism base seemed to get hit the hardest, and then Prism Silver or Prism Red Ice, all those sort of variations seem to not get affected as not seem to get affected as much at all. If anything, have gone up or have just really stayed the same. So Prism Silver in the last 14 days has actually gone up for DeAndre Ayton. So $227 14 days ago, and now at $240. So barely gone up, but a bit of an uptick for Ayton there. And now moving on to Trae Young. So we'll go to 14 days. Trae Young's, this is one that I was very surprised during the regular season did not really make a move, especially around the end, because I think the narrative on Trae Young is that, yes, he gets a lot of stats, but can his team actually win? And, you know, with Lloyd Pierce leaving and then Nate McMillan becoming the new coach, that narrative changed, and the Hawks were actually starting to win some games as well. So really was surprised that Trae Young's prices weren't going up around the end of the season with them actually making the playoffs. And then even looking at their eventual first round matchup in the Knicks, you know, the Knicks are a great team, better than they normally are, but the Hawks are a great chance to beat them, and have been. They're up currently right now 3-1 in the series. Trae's been playing quite well, and yeah, out of the last 14 days, he's up 10%. But again, another consequence of the market being smarter and less reactive to playoff performances. 10% isn't that much. I mean, last year it would have been 50 to 60%, I reckon. So for Trae to only be up 10% for what he's putting out is not that much in all actuality. But yeah, looking at his Prism PSA 10 Silver, this card has gone up a little bit. So it was around $1,500 US. Had a sale of $1,100, but I think that's a little bit out of line. So around $1,400, we'll say, and currently at just under $1,700 US. So this trend line's a bit more flat with Trae and his Prism PSA 10 Silvers, 2,000 pop count. Yeah, something to note there as well. But yeah, let's look at his base, which, as you can see, the base, this is actually more the optic. We'll go to the Prism first, actually. So Prism actually has held up quite well. So this is actually the last 14 days. So don't discount that, disregard that 90 days there. But this is the last 14 days. But this has actually gone up since the 14 days. Nothing crazy, but like I said, people are getting less reactive to the market when people have great performances. So starting out at $317 and now at $300, has hit $330. So nothing really much there to really know. High pop count for this card again. So yeah, Optic PSA 10, 1700 here. I know this is only 1700 pop count. I do know it is a little bit harder to get a PSA 10 for Trae, or really for Optic in that year. I think the gem percentage for the PSA 10s and Optic is quite low compared to other cards, but I was quite fortunate actually. I did have one of these cards and I sold it for $280 US in January. So now that was 90 days ago. We're looking at $225 US, and then that's just trending down again, back down to $170. So around 14 days ago, it was $150. So again, only got up $20 US. Market not being as reactive compared to previous years. But yeah, as you can see there, the trend line's going down. But the last player that I want to look at who has been hot as well, Ja Morant, over the last 14 days, down 0.24% with his PSA 10 Prisms. So again, with the Prisms in 2019-20, they are massively overprinted. So might not be the greatest indicator. I know it is the greatest indicator in terms of sales, but in terms of long-term potential, probably not as great as is probably like his Select, as for example. But yeah, we can have a look at here. So Prism PSA 10 down. Base, this one, make sure we get these full size. So again, I looked at the variation, but Prism PSA 10 over the past 90 days, starting point of around $450 and currently at $260 US. So yeah, 14 days ago was actually down a bit more at around $240 US. So it's only gone up $20 US with his playoff performance. I don't think it's gone up as much, more so because people were predicting that Utah would knock out Memphis, with Memphis being the 8th seed. I think Memphis even being in the playoffs was more of a gift for us. but I think people anticipated Golden State. And you can even see here, like he had a drop off $280 US, and it just dropped off after that. And I think this is where people were thinking Golden State were going to make it. And then when Ja actually ended up winning, you see that little bump up in price there. And yeah, so I think I also want to mention again, $275 US for the Prism-based PSA 10 at a 16,000 plus pop count with more incoming, compared to a Prism-based variation of him laying the ball up at a 450 pop. And that one's $400. So that one doesn't have as much of a... I don't think... Yeah, so Tyler Hero's one was a little bit... The difference was much smaller, but if you're wanting to get Prism long-term, I don't advise getting the base. I would recommend definitely going for the variation, because such a small pop count. The only thing not going for it is, I think, again, it's from a retail box. So being from retail, it's not as much of a higher price compared to if it was in a hobby box and it was a hobby-only Prism-based variation. But as you can see there, it's gone from $717 and now it's currently just over $400. So if you're wanting to get Prism, I would probably go for something numbered or the variation. I do like the variations, and they're much more popular in baseball, and they're trying to bring it into basketball to, increase the variations. And I actually do like it. So if that's what you're looking for, I'd go for that over the Prism base. But those are what we did. We did what? 5 players. Those are the 5 players I just wanted to have a quick look at. I'll do this every sort of Friday and release a video just to highlight price differences, and we can analyze and see with playoff performance how people have gone with their card prices over the past week, and if playoff performance is really linked to card prices, because the market is getting smarter. Last year, especially with Jamal Murray and Donovan Mitchell, they had great playoff performances and you were able to double and triple your money. But now people are becoming way more smarter and less reactive to these moments, and I think it'd be great to just track it over the coming period and see, again, how playoff performance is, if it is linked to card prices. But yeah, again, if you've made it to the end, I appreciate it. Give us a like and hit the subscribe button if you're enjoying the sports card content. Comment down below what you guys think of this sort of stuff. It's a bit different because normally I am giving out sort of in picks that I like and things that I'm noticing in the market, but more of a data-based sort of analysis, I guess, would be something new to this channel. But I think it'd be great to kind of just highlight certain things. But yeah, if you made it to the end, I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in future videos. Take care.